welcome to you all. Welcome to tonight's event. And we are so thrilled to see you all in the back room here this evening. It's been so much fun to see you all arriving. And Karen, Dion, and I are so pleased that you were here tonight to greet and talk with another group of amazing, amazing authors. Quickly, I'm Hank Phillippi Ryan, USA Today bestselling author of 13 novels, almost 14. I sent in my manuscript a week ago, so I am waiting now for the edit. So I will let you know whether my book is good or not, depending on what my editor says tomorrow. It could go either way. And my co-host, Karen Dion, who is in Michigan, is the USA Today and internationally best-selling author of The Wicked Sister, which is out right now, and her book, The Marsh King's Daughter, which is soon to be a major motion picture. I think the production is over, and we're now just all waiting to buy our tickets to the actual movie, and that is fantastic. My book, Her Perfect Life, is out right now and just went into a second printing, so I am very grateful to you for that. So to give you some ideas of things you might ask them, let me start with our famous The Back Room 20 questions. It's really 12, but 20 seems like too much. And I will ask each author a couple of questions to let you know a little bit more about them. So let's start with Brian Andrews, who is on the screen closest to me. Brian, ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. What is the scariest or most dangerous thing you've ever done?
Oh, well, that's easy. I've driven on a submarine off the coast of Russia with a bunch of other submarines driving around looking for us.
Oh, come on now. Everybody does that. What's something scary? Why? So you were in the Navy and assigned to a submarine. Tell a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I was on what's called a fast attack submarine, 688 class, and I was stationed in the Pacific. So the type of submarine that I was on is the kind that goes out and does the types of things that you would have seen in the Hunt for Red October or Crimson Tide types of movies, where you're sneaking around underwater looking for other submarines and collecting intelligence or escorting the battle group. And nowadays, even submarines can launch missiles to help support operations in like the Middle East when we were in Afghanistan or Iraq.
You see, you all, there are lots of things you can ask Brian. That's very great. Thank you. Kimberly Bell, what was your favorite book as a child?
Well, there were many, but I think I'm going to go with Charlotte's Web. That was the book that I remember, the first book that I really remember that I could not stop reading, that I would read it and I would go back to the beginning and read it again. And, it's been many, many years since then, and I can't really tell you all the details of the story, but I can still remember how that book made me feel.
Did you cry every time that you read it?
Yes, every time.
Yeah. I can't even think about it without crying.
Yeah, and I'm still like that with books. I still love to reread when I find one that I love. I don't ever mind rereading over and over and over.
Agree with you.
I recently read that to my daughters because they're of that age now. And it'd been years since I'd read it too. And I was amazed at how rich the characterization is and what a good author and storyteller E.B. White was. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the greatest first lines of all times, right? What is it? Hey, Pa, hey, Ma, where's Pa going with that axe? You got action, you got stakes, you got violence, you got suspense.
You got a big story question.
Yeah, exactly. Vera Kurian, what was your first job?
Oh God, I was hired in college to work at the Jewish Student Center on Shabbat because they needed someone to open the door and turn the lights on and all that other stuff. It was my very first job. And I didn't really understand why I was there, but I'll take the paycheck.
How did you get that job? How did you even hear about it?
There was a listing somewhere for it, and then they wrote down my name and the phone number and Goyim, or whatever that word is for non-Jewish person that we can hire to do this. Oh. Yeah, but it was just sit there and do my homework. It was great.
Yeah.
All you have to do is open the door. That's a good job. That's a good job. Scott Shepard, who is the most famous person you have ever met?
Oh. I mean, first, well, a couple presidents. I mean, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama, but the person I kind of knew, probably Frank Sinatra growing up as a kid.
You knew him growing up as a kid.
Yeah, he was one of my grandfather's best friends. Yeah.
And so tell us one Frank Sinatra thing.
He was a really good friend of my grandfather. He actually gave the eulogy at my grandfather's wedding, and no, he could use my grandfather's funeral. And
Yeah.
him and Mia Farrow got married at my grandparents' house. And when I was like 8 or 9 years old, I went to the World Series with my grandfather, a guy named Artie Deutsch, who was the heir to the Sears Roebuck Foundation. That was my grandfather's best friends. Interestingly about him, he was the heir to the Sears Roebuck fortune and was sick one day in 1926. So he wasn't kidnapped by Loeb and Leopold like he was supposed to be. They killed Bobby Franks instead. And there was Jack Benny, and who was one of my grandfather's other good friends. I have a lot of stories about him. He's a great, he was a wonderful guy. And then it was Uncle Frank, as we would call him, and Mia, who was 19, and they were engaged. And I get home and my grandmother goes, "So how was the World Series?" And I have no idea who these people really are, being 8 years old. I go, "Oh, it's like fabulous. You're at the World Series," and they come and they take your picture all day long.
Because it's you. They want you. Bridget in the chat is saying "Holy macaroni."
Yeah, I know. Can I be in his breakout room?
Yeah.
I have lots of
We all want to come
questions.
talk to Scott. We all want to talk to Scott.
Now we want to go on to the next part of our event, which is our little game of 20 questions. We call it 20 questions because 12 questions just doesn't sound so catchy, but that's actually what it is. So 20-ish questions. And this is just a little fun warm up to make the authors think really hard about, the big questions of life. So I'm going to start with Tori. She already knows what the first question is going to be because we talked about this in the breakout room. Is your desk messy or tidy?
The desk where I don't work is a mess. The bistro table where I do work is nice and tidy.
All right. That's a nice balance then. Okay. Lori, when do you feel the most creative?
Oh, never. I should be like a morning writer. That seems to be when I have energy, but I'm not a morning person. I'm also not a late night person. I'm really a middle of the day kind of person. So
okay.
Early afternoon.
There's a surprising number of people who say, I'm going to have to change that question because a lot of people say neither, middle of the day is when I'm the most productive and the most creative. Thank you. Lisa, what's the best thing that happened to you today?
Oh my gosh. So many wonderful things happened to me today. I had the pleasure, I guess, of watching my daughter learn how to windsurf today. So that was pretty amazing. She's been sailing for a while and she just kind of switched over to this new this new activity, and it's a quite a big adjustment. And I was just a little bit awed by her strength and her, ability to kind of navigate this, big wind and big water on this new piece of equipment. And I was just kind of filled with awe for her. So that was the best thing that happened to me today.
It sounds amazing. Sounds wonderful. And actually, she should be here to answer this next question because Jonathan is going to get it instead. What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done?
Oh, gee. Let me think. I actually have a pretty dull life, but I was sent once on an assignment to go to the caves at Lascaux. And I went in with just one other person, and it's totally dark. You have a flashlight. Those are the 25,000-year-old caves. And I think that was pretty adventuresome because we had to crawl over a big hole in the ground. And I didn't really imagine myself falling into it, but it was possible.
Jonathan, please, no cave talk, please. I beg you.
What? Does that freak you out?
Yeah, it does. It does.
They really are.
Because I was going to invite you to the next cave.
Jonathan.
And it was dark and cold and the water dripping from the ceiling.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Thank you.
Sorry.
You want to what we're doing for Lori's birthday.
Spelunking. Awesome.
Here we go.
Welcome to you all, and all of you people who are attending tonight. You see what a wonderful group we have with us this evening. And now we will start, as always, with our not quite 20 questions, 3 questions on these special backroom cards, and each author will get 3 of them. They are very, very difficult questions, and I hope the authors studied. Okay, John Copenhaver, let's start with you.
Okay.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
I am a late afternoon person, apparently. Many years I was a morning person, but it's all changed. I hit 40 and I became a late afternoon person.
So you write in the late afternoon?
Yeah, I write. I'm really productive. It used to be a really terrible downtime for me, and it all shifted. I don't know, biorhythms or something. Who knows?
That's when I write. That's when I write too. It's interesting. Maybe it's just getting all the administrative stuff done in the morning, and then by the time it's 2 o'clock-ish.
I think that's what it is. It's like getting the stuff out of the way.
Might be just guilt. Okay, let me ask Vanessa Lilly. What is the first thing you remember writing?
A book about friendship that I waited until the very last minute to write for a 2nd grade project.
A book about friendship. Go ahead.
Well, I'd intended it for it to be about like a princess and dragons and castles, but when I sat down to write it and illustrate it, I found out I couldn't draw the things I wanted to. So I could just draw pretty good like stick people. So I just sold out and did a book on friendship.
No, you pivoted and edited, and you were nimble about it. You were nimble about it.
I also wrote to market because the librarian really liked the story. It was like very sweet, whereas my other one was going to be like violent.
See, you already knew your public. You already knew your readers. This was meant to be, totally meant to be. Sarah Strohmeyer, what was your favorite book as a child? You're muted, Sarah. You're muted. We're just going to pretend you're saying something, so you better unmute yourself because we're going to fill in for you. Because I think she had Siri on. Sarah had Siri that was interrupting what she was saying. And we'll come back to you, okay? You think about what your favorite book as a child is. It's one of those things where you can't talk louder and maybe help, she's saying. Do it in charades, Sarah. What was your what was your favorite book as a child? Do it in charades. Writing to look
Okay.
Move on. I don't know what, I can't believe this.
No, it's working.
It's
There you
working.
go.
It is?
Yes.
Oh, I just switched to MacBook Air microphone. Does that work?
Yep.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Hey,
Sorry.
what's-
It was, just awful.
Do you see the stress under pressure? This is because she is a public official and she knows how to handle very difficult situations and came through this smiling and perfect. Okay, so now this is going to be easier. What was your favorite book as a child?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. It was the whole Laura Ingalls Wilder series. I wrote HarperCollins and said I wanted to be an author. And actually the publisher from HarperCollins wrote me, but then I read this book that said Laura Ingalls Wilder was a horrible fascist. And now I don't know what to do. That's my quick answer.
Only you could give a quick answer that's hilarious. I have to tell you, that's great. That's great. Good answer. Okay, John Lesquois.
Can I take 5 minutes to answer?
Sure.
Okay. Go.
Okay, you can take whatever you want. Totally take
Just
whatever.
goofing you. Here you go. All right.
A random question for you here. Are you a good singer?
Well, I'm an okay singer. I lost my voice 3 years ago, which is weird, but I had a coughing fit that lasted 6 weeks. I think I might have had the COVID thing.
You do?
But I was a singer for a living until I was 30. So I didn't think I was very good, but I have made a living at it. So
What kind of singer?
mostly country and rock, Jimmy Buffett and, island music and fun stuff.
And you have a band, right? Or had a band?
I had a band for years and years called Johnny Capo and his Real Good Band.
That's great. Well, good. And you have records, right? People can buy
I have
records.
3 CDs out there in the ozone.
Wow.
Great.
So the next thing we're going to do is play a quick game of 20 questions so you can get to know the authors a little, except it's not really 20 questions because that would take too much time. So it's more like 12 questions. So, but that doesn't have that cool range. So anyways, this is the part that the authors dread because they do not know what I'm going to ask, but they're on the cards and we just say what comes up. And Amy, what's the best thing about being a writer?
Oh man, the best thing about being a writer is coming to work every day. I got to tell you, like, especially in the last few years, it's like life, I've had a lot of bumps and I come to this desk in the morning and I'm like, this is the best damn job in the whole world. I can't believe I have it. This is the coolest thing. And I write very intentionally for young people because I love them and I understand them. And so I don't know, like, and then now I'm branching out even more. I love my job. The best thing about writing is writing. That's it.
Fantastic.
And that doesn't mean every day is great. Like it's not, but at the same time, I remind myself of that. I've been doing this 27 years, so yeah, it just keeps getting better.
Fantastic. Love the
Yeah.
enthusiasm. Yeah. Jeff, this is a little darker. What's one thing you've always wanted to try, but you've been too scared to do?
Something I've always wanted to try, but I'm too scared to do. Oh boy. Wow. I've done a lot. I've done a lot of embarrassing things. The most embarrassing thing I ever did was I auditioned for a cruise ship to be in the entertainment staff. And they told me that there would be some movement required because I told my agent I do not dance. So I get to the audition and I walk into the courtyard of this theater in LA and people are stretching with their head above their, leg above their head. And so I'm like, all right, looking around, It was a fully choreographed 24-bar dance routine. And I was just like hiding in the back and then they kept rotating the people forward and forward. And finally I got to the front row and the woman next to me, she just looked and she said, just try to have fun. And I was like, I'm going to try not to hurt myself or others. So the audition was over and I'm waiting in the courtyard. And the way they did it is they would read the names of the people who they wanted to come back. So that way they're not calling out the losers, right? So we're in the courtyard, everyone's waiting. And I'm like, please just let me leave. Please let me leave. And they're reading this long, long list of names that I'm like, all right. And then my name didn't get called. So I put my backpack on my shoulder and I look around and like, I'm the only person leaving. And I walked through this whole courtyard and the casting director's holding her clipboard. She's like, thanks for coming. I was like, oh my God. So dancing, don't want to, terrified of it.
That works. That works.
Real quickly, Jeff, I also don't do the dance thing, but because I sing and act, my agents would always send me out on musical theater stuff.
Yeah.
And I was down to like the last 3 in Spider-Man and I dodged several bullets on that one. But American Psycho, they want to bring it from Britain to Broadway. And they're like, you should go out for this. They're asking for you especially. I don't dance. No, it's just they're killing. It's not real dancing. It's like stabbing while you're moving. I get into the place just like you. And I'm like, why are there mirrors on every wall? This doesn't look like my kind of place. And I swear, in my mind, this is how the audition began. All right, everyone, and 5, 4, 3. And like people were doing flips.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And I just was kind of going like this. Yeah, I left.
You hear 5, 6, 7, 8 in your heart.
Oh man, that's a great story. Okay. So this is a question for you, Val. What was it like working with Tina Fey on 30 Rock?
That's like the cool factor, is it'll never go away. I mean, she's as cool as you can, as you probably imagine she is. I don't know. I remember her one time Alec Baldwin would he was kind of the diva on the set. But like he admitted it, like, but he would complain about it being like, oh, if he would forget his line, he'd be like, it's too hot, can we change the AC? And Tina just leans over and goes, you can smell it like onions burning on a stove, like when he's gonna go. Like, I don't know, she's just she's great. And that's my story about Tina. Yeah.
Well, I have a Tina Fey story too. So when I was on the board of directors for the International Thriller Writers, Bob Stein would have the board over during Thriller Fest for a dinner in his apartment. He was on like the 11th floor of this building on the west side, Upper West Side, and or whenever, I don't know. That's probably not accurate because I don't know New York. Anyway, below him was Tina Fey's apartment. And so it was the kind of building where, you know, the doorman let you in and then you rode up to the elevator and you're in, you know, Bob's apartment. And so, you know, as we're riding up, we're like, what happened if we pressed 10 instead of 11? So I've actually spent several evenings 10 feet away from Tina Fey, but we
So I never knew that, Karen, because I've been at Bob's place too. I didn't know she lived so close.
Yeah, this was some years back, so you'll have to verify my information. But yeah, well, okay, this is fun, but we have one more question for Alyssa. What's one skill that you would love to master?
Singing. Yeah, because when it's karaoke night, I'm like hiding in the corner.
Yeah.
So it's not like these guys who, by the way, everybody should go on YouTube and look up Val's piece with Tina Fey. It's the funniest clip in there.
Thanks.
Where you're meeting her. I love that. It's really, you've got to see that.
Thank you.
Wasn't that fun? We hope that you enjoyed this taste of what a backroom event is like. The best part comes immediately after, when the audience is divided into breakout rooms and the authors visit each room in turn. We'd love to show you what a breakout session is like, because these relaxed face-to-face conversations are the hallmark of our backroom events. But breakout sessions are never recorded. What's said in the backroom stays in the backroom.